Listen, I think on this show we've tried to be pretty down the middle. And I know every Pac-12 fan's like, oh, Big 12 ain't on. And I know every Big 12 fan's like, oh, you're a Pac-12 homer. We try to be right down the middle. We report the news. I am neither a Big 12 or a Pac-12 fan. I have the luxury, well, it's not really a luxury, but of being a Notre Dame fan. Right, so
because it's garbage.
I am a noted Notre Dame fan.
Right.
We never win anything and won't for many years. But it is remarkable to watch this Pac-12 story unfold and to see what's going on and to see how things are playing out at Arizona. Because I actually think Arizona has been the most outspoken program. Now, I mean, I guess if Kirk Schultz is a program, he'd be close at Washington State. But I think you've had the president, you've had the athletic director, and now you have the head football coach at Arizona on the record commenting about the Pac-12 TV deal.
Arizona's going to have a place to go. And that's what I tell our recruits.
Be all right.
That's what I tell our donors. That's what I tell our families of current personnel. We have a great brand. And we have a great basketball program, we have a great softball program, a great baseball program, and I believe we have the opportunity to have an incredible football program.
Yeah.
We're fine.
Yeah.
Where we play our road games, we'll wait and see for our president. But we are locked in and loaded for this season, and we're going to try to just be where our feet are, which is right now in the Pac-10.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. That is Jed Fish, the football coach at Arizona, saying that, yeah, we'll be somewhere. It's what I'm telling recruits. Now, I'm going to play this again because I think it's that unbelievable. But before I play this from Jed Fish, let's go down memory lane, right? Let's go down memory lane. And when you go back and look at comments on the record from, I don't know, like President Robbins, remember last week, when the now infamous, who will never be named on this show again, reported there was a grant of rights, and President Robbins at Arizona said...
When I landed, I saw some reporter said, is this true? And it was a tweet from one of the other reporters saying, the deal with the Pac-12 is done. Details to follow. And so my answer was, I've not been informed about any of the information in this tweet.
Okay, so the Pac-12 deal is not done. And you know that previously President Robbins has gone to great lengths to make sure that everybody understands that he likes the Big 12. Like the league's powerhouse basketball brands are the basis for some affinities. Right. And it's heavily dependent on George Kliavkoff and his team negotiating a good media deal for us to stay competitive, right? That's President Robbins at Arizona. And of course, of course, you guys remember Dave Hickey, the athletic director at Arizona. I'm not sure how to say it because it might change tomorrow, but we're faced with a new and ever-changing world and conference alignments, but we'd like to be with the Pac-12 and continue the great tradition of the conference. But if not, there will be a new landscape and a new opportunity for the University of Arizona. I mean, a ringing endorsement that tells me you're all in on something, whether it's the Pac-12 or not, right? And then, so now we've heard from the president saying, hey, we love the Big 12, that powerhouse basketball brand. We've heard from the athletic director, well, if we're not in the Pac-12, we'll be somewhere. And Jed Fish from the
Next Up with Adam Brenneman
podcast, when asked what's going on with the Pac-12, said...
Arizona's going to have a place to go. And that's what I tell our recruits.
Be all right.
That's what I tell our donors. That's what I tell our families of current personnel. We have a great brand. And we have a great basketball program, we have a great softball program, a great baseball program, and I believe we have the opportunity to have an incredible football program.
Yeah.
We're fine.
Yeah.
Where we play our road games, we'll wait and see for our president. But we are locked in and loaded for this season, and we're going to try to just be where our feet are, which is right now in the Pac-10.
Dude.
And then he's like, the PAC 10.
PAC 10.
Like, what do you make of this? I am so surprised. One, why is Jed Fish on a podcast? Because he's going to get asked about it.
That was my first question, too.
Why? And why is Arizona so unwilling? Because Jed Fish could easily said, hey, man, you know what? We're in the Pac-12 and, you know, Pac-10. This conference, it used to have 12 members and it's going to have 10, Conference of Champions and shit. Like, he could have gone on and he could have said, hey, dude, you know, it's the Pac-12. We love it here.
Right.
We're going to get it worked out. Everything's going to be fine. But instead he said, we'll be somewhere. That's what I'm telling our recruits. That's what I'm telling our donors. We'll be somewhere. So wait, I'm sorry. Did you just say that you are talking to recruits about the fact that you're not going to be in the Pac-12? Because that's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah.
And this is not the first time, President Robbins, or the second time, Dave Hickey, the athletic director at Arizona. No, this is the third time, Jed Fish, somebody of influence and significance at Arizona, Jake, is talking about leaving the Pac-12.
Facts.
Yeah, I just think that, Jed Fish, A, there was no reason for him to do this podcast. B, I don't know why they continue to talk. I mean, I can only think that it's to further the narrative of getting to the Big 12. Like, I don't know, like, what other reason, what other impetus you would have to jump on a podcast, one that I might add has a decent following to it. This is no small little grain of sand. Like, this isn't like, an ASU podcast that nobody follows, right? Like, this has some, some credibility to it. And so you jump on this podcast, you say what you said, and for what? Because ultimately, the dude's going to ask you the questions he needs to ask, or he should, right? That's the expectation that, hey, the reporter, the interviewer, the host, whoever is going to ask you the questions that they need to ask you to do a proper interview. And ultimately, it's your job to play the game and answer the question in a certain type of way. And if you go and find the full interview, the interviewer even says, hey, I have to ask you this, and I know you're probably going to give me the canned PR answer. He literally said that. Yet Jed Fish still insisted on saying, no, I'll answer it. We'll be fine. No matter what, we're going to have a place to go. Arizona is a strong brand. He does, like, you guys understand, they're making a very intentional choice to say the things that they're saying at the time they're saying it, the way they're saying it. You notice you haven't heard from Colorado recently. Why might that be? Well, they're probably having conversations, right? So Arizona is very confident in where they're at and how they're going to handle this thing, and they have not wavered, even a little bit. In fact, I would say they are in the handful of schools in this conference that seem very much in line. Like president, AD, head football coach, all saying the same thing pretty much, Now, I'll give Dave Hickey credit, the athletic director at Arizona. Yeah, hey, he handled it pretty much as professionally and as polished as you possibly could. Love the Pac-12, but again, the landscape is ever changing. So who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. And I am surprised by this. I really am. I just don't see the upside of it. And I understand that Jed Fish is trying to get Arizona football run. I think they're going to be a better team. He's clearly brought in more talent. Like, I get all that. I don't understand not avoiding the question, because I think you're exactly right. We listened to a good part of that conversation. And this host, Adam Wiener Schnitzel, Brenneman, same thing, who said, hey, I know you're going to give me a canned answer. He essentially said, I know you can't answer this, but I have a responsibility to ask you, which he did.
Which I totally respect.
And he asked him, and Jed Fish said, yeah, we're going to be somewhere. That's amazing.
10.
That's amazing that Jed Fish actually went out of his way to answer the question.
Yeah, and it kind of furthers the idea and the conversation point and the narrative that, Arizona is very comfortable going to the Big 12. Now, I'm not saying that will happen, but what I am definitely saying, and I hope people don't get this confused, I am definitely saying they are comfortable with the concept of being in the Big 12. I am not saying that that's going to happen. I think we don't know what's going to happen, to be completely honest with you. But I do think if, let's say today's Wednesday the 28th, everyone's going out of town, going on vacation. When everyone gets back, I would not be surprised if there were a decision made and a week from now, 10 days from now, Arizona said, yeah, we got the media rights deal. It wasn't what we wanted, so here's what we're going to do about it. I mean, that's a very real possibility.
By the way, some people want to know if you have pink eye and somebody farted on your pillow. And I'm going to further the narrative because I believe, well, I made that up. Nobody asked that question. You have pink eye, right? That's what
it is. Yeah. I have pink eye. Yeah. No. It's not pink eye. It's Costas eye.
Costas eye.
Costas eye. Thank you.
People like the sunglasses.
I mean, should I take them off yet, or what do you think? I mean, we've only made it 16 minutes.
I think you should keep them on. I think you should keep them on. Aaron Wilson says, Jakey Cool Shades laying it down. Yeah. Jakey Cool Shades.
Yeah, come on.
That's what I'm saying. Before I get to your comments, let me play this video one more time. It's Jed Fish on
Next Up with Adam Brenneman.
Thank you. The podcast, and he was asked about the Pac-12 situation, was given an avenue to dodge the question, and instead said,
Arizona's going to have a place to go. Mm-hmm. And that's what I tell our recruits.
Be all right.
That's what I tell our donors. That's what I tell our families of current personnel. Mm-hmm. We have a great brand. And we have a great basketball program, we have a great softball program, a great baseball program, and I believe we have the opportunity to have an incredible football program. Yeah. We're fine. Yeah. Where we play our road games, we'll wait and see for our president. But we are locked in and loaded for this season, and we're going to try to just be where our feet are, which is right now in the Pac-10.
Where we play our road games, well, we'll just wait and see for our president. And the line that stands out there is, hey, we'll be somewhere that's what I'm telling our recruits. That hurts, dude. Like, I don't see any way around that. I have to
say it's honest, though.
It is.
I mean, it's honest. Like, if you're recruiting right now, like, you aren't, like, isn't, Whittingham and Dion and all these head coaches, are you not, like, dude, is Lincoln Riley not being like, yeah, dude, we're going to the Big Ten. Not this year, but next year.
Dude.
Join the program now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. And he had energy through it. He had zip, he had pep, and that tells me that he takes buckshot from bucked up energy.
You're not even playing.
That's what it tells me. It's time. Every day at this time on the show, we pounded bucked up buckshot to power us through the Monty show. Super easy. And in the description of this show below, cheers, friends, you can get 6 free buckshots. There you have it. Easy peasy. 100 milligrams of caffeine, clean, long-lasting energy to power you through the rest of your day. That's what Bucked Up's all about. The best products. And guys, I am again amazed that when you look at the products that they put out and you look at Bucked Up, and for instance, I am not a protein bar guy. Mm-hmm. These Buck bars are unbelievable. They taste good. I eat 2 of them every day. I had one for dinner last night, was not hungry, went to the driving range this morning, came home, ate breakfast at 10 o'clock. It was amazing to realize, hey, I had a Buck bar at 7:30 last night and no issues because they're filling. They give you the perfect energy. It's great to refuel with a Buck bar. Reliable energy, reliable nutrition with clean ingredients. I'm telling you, it's what Bucked Up is all about. It's a lifestyle. Go and get it right now. But take advantage of the free samples. Go get the free sampler pack of Buck bars. They'll send them right to your front door. You can also go to any Bucked Up location if you're in the state of Utah, from Farmington Station. We personally shop at South Jordan. The Lehigh store is unbelievable. How good the Lehigh store is. American Fork is great. Like, any of the Bucked Up stores in Utah carry a full line of Bucked Up products. Make sure you tell them you heard about it on the Monty Show, but in the description below, knock yourself out. Let's get you some free samples of the Buckshot and the Buck bars. Truly life-changing. They are fantastic. Bucked Up, the official energy provider of the Monty Show. Stephen Smith gives us a $20 tip to say, thank you, Stephen. I listened to the Locked On Pac-12 with Canzano today, and I have 3 thoughts. 1, Canzano seems to be out of his mind to think that since donors for SMU are oil people, they would finance SMU and receive zero money.
I think we agree with that.
I think we agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
I am probably not going to be able to find the rest of your comments. There they are right there. 2, the TV deal to get in the conference so that they can support the Pac-12, still believing that they will get more than the Big 12 in a TV deal when his sources are from the Pac-12. So to say, and can I find the other one? Yes, here it is. Different things from each other. 3, the Locked On person, when I watched him, seems to always have hope for the Pac-12. This interview with Canzano, to me, made me realize he was way too much hope. Okay. I think that, listen, the Pac-12, Locked On Pac-12, he does a perfectly fine job if that's what you like. He is an Oregon fan. He is passionate about the Pac-12. And hey, man, I think I firmly believe that people try their best. The hard part about John Canzano is that I just think he said so many crazy off-the-wall things now that just have not been true.
Well, and I think that particular interview, and I don't mean anything by this, but that particular interview was done in a way where you have a younger person, right? We can all agree this guy's younger.
He's a kid, yeah.
He's a young, I don't know how old he is. I would say late 20s, maybe, something like that. It flat out says in the interview that he's looked up to John Canzano for how long. So this is clearly a situation, no shade against kid, not trying to make it personal, but it's a situation where you have someone on that you admire, and you're not gonna have that type of interview.
You're not gonna ask follow-up questions.
Yeah.
You're not gonna ask and that's the hard part with a lot of these things. When Canzano and Wilner had George Kliavkoff on their podcast, and hey, back of the envelope calculations. They clearly idolize George Kliavkoff. Like Canzano and Wilner look up to him.
That was the beginning of the end of Canzano's credibility, in my opinion.
Yeah, but the problem is that it takes you hear those things, and I think Pac-12 supporters buy into that hook, line, and sinker,
which is unfortunate.
And it is, and you. This is not an easy job to do. I think we've talked about this on the show in the past. Like this job is awesome. I am so fortunate to have a group of partners that support the show. We have worked really hard to build an information base, but you look at the Pac-12 Twitter people, you just can't get involved in it. Mm-mm. It is the dregs and
cesspool.
The anger is unbelievable, and it's guys like Canzano and less John Wilner, but Canzano, who just I believe he sold his soul to be a mouthpiece for the Pac-12, and nothing that guy has said has been proven true.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes on this thing yesterday, and I know this is what we do now in this country, where we say, well, hey, I'm the one telling you the truth. You watch who you believe and who you listen to, because I'm the one telling you the truth.
Right.
Canzano said that on that Pac-12 podcast yesterday. John Canzano has not been right about a single thing in this whole situation. Not a single thing. You look at, again, and you can go back, it's on our channel. Go look at all the stuff we've reported about the Pac-12 TV deal. I think we've been pretty spot on. Mm-hmm. The national media is routinely 3 days or so behind us. We'll tell you, hey, Amazon's no longer involved in the negotiations at one point. Andrew Marchand, who I think is the bar for media reporters.
I would agree.
3 days later in the New York Post, Amazon's no longer involved in the media rights negotiations for the Pac-12.
Well, and I think that's the other side for folks like Canzano, and there's a lot of Canzanos in the world. They're not doing YouTube, meaning to say, hey, the ledger doesn't live forever, right? Whereas on YouTube, it does. And I think the thing is on our show, I feel firmly that we have a culture of like, hey, people in the comments will say, oh, you got this wrong or got that wrong. and we usually talk about it. And then they'll go back and listen and they'll be like, oh, well, yeah, actually, I just looked at the thumbnail and I didn't actually listen. So now that I've listened, yeah, you guys got it right. And that happens all the time, and that's cool. I think that's the bread and butter of sports talk. But I just think this particular, happening, incident, if you want to call it that, that's probably strong. But, this interview that he did absolutely was throw a bunch of shit against the wall and let's see if we can light it on fire type thing.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's really disappointing. It's really disappointing the way this has gone, because I think anybody that does what we do professionally, this is our professions. This is how we pay our bills. This is not a hobby for us. We don't come home from work and do this anymore. Like, dude, this is what we do now. And it is incredibly difficult to do this job at a high level. It's why we don't do much sourcing stuff, because it's just not, there's no upside to it. There's no upside to it because Pac-12 fans are so angry and so upset. And I mean, I love all our listeners in Salt Lake City. It's one of our biggest markets, but Utah Ute fans are just untenable. Mm-hmm. Like you just can't, you just can. I cannot tell you. There are few. Oregon fans are close, but Utah fans are just so angry all the time, and I don't understand it. Like you are in a position where you wound up in a great spot in the Pac-12, and the conference managed itself into the ground. Like John Canzano saying that, hey, Apple's got state-of-the-art equipment. Well, no, that's actually not true. They built and are building, and they're about to move into a state-of-the-art production facility in San Ramon, California.
Right.
But their production equipment, their equipment in the field is not new, and it is not state-of-the-art.
Nope.
To the point where they have had failures with it, to the point where they have rented crews to produce games.
Well, it's been part of the challenge of getting a deal done, frankly. I mean, when you're in arena or in football field, equipment is not good and it can't provide the quality you need it to provide. I mean, that's the lifeblood of TV production. I mean, it's great if you've got a Lamborghini of a TV truck outside. Who cares if you can't get the feed to them? I mean, that's the problem.
Yeah, and I think the Pac-12 has a reputation of being technologically forward, and they are. But all of this to say,
yeah,
I think it's remarkable how much misinformation the Pac-12 is putting out. I think it's why we have so much, like the visceral reaction from Jed Fish or Dave Hickey or President Robbins at Arizona, because they're just being bluntly honest with you.
Well, and they don't have to spin. I mean, they get to make a choice, and I think again, this Jed Fish thing, that's why it's so impressive that Jed Fish is saying what Jed Fish is saying, because again, he doesn't have to say any of that. And I think I really do believe that those three guys down at Arizona really believe in their heart of hearts that their brand is really strong. And I have to say, I agree. It is a strong brand. Now, does that mean you have the best football program or the best basketball program or like the best at any of these individual sports? No, not necessarily. But as a brand at a conference level, you're valuable to the Big 12 specifically, which allows your boy Jed Fish, the head coach of your football program, to go out and say things like that. So I do believe in their heart of hearts, they believe that their brand is incredibly strong right now.
Yeah. Erica Cottle, I'm not angry. I just don't want Utah to go down with the sinking ship in the Pac-12. No problem going to the Big 12.
Well, you're one of the few out of Pac-12 fans that I would say. Not that I disagree. I would love to see Utah in the Big 12, but Pac-12 fandom, especially on Twitter, is not amused about the concept of the Big 12.
Lopes fan Gabe, you might have angry fans, but they got nothing on the absolute misery that emanates from New Mexico State fans. Oh my God. Tell me about it. I've never met a more miserable bunch. I couldn't disagree.
And for those of you who don't know Lopes fan Gabe, he is a GCU guy. Grand Canyon.
Yeah. And New Mexico State fans are 100%. That's correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely correct. Make sure you hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. Thank you guys for being here. We appreciate when you hit the like button as we talk about the Pac-12 and Arizona football coach Jed Fish's comments that, quote, Arizona will be somewhere. And he says he is telling recruits that.
Yeah.
It's crazy. John Dry, how are you, John? Looks like Oregon State and Washington State to the Mountain West, and whoever else won't be in the Big 12. But again, I don't think the Pac-12 is collapsing. You know, one of the things that I hear all the time on Twitter is, well, you guys are the ones that started the rumor about Colorado. No, we did not start the rumor about that. Was that bot Twitter account in West Virginia, which tells you the lengths people will go for news in this world. Nobody on this show has said that Colorado is leaving. Nobody, except a bot account on Twitter. And that's the problem with the Pac-12 news. Like, quite literally, an account run by bots tweeted that, hey, Colorado is going to announce they're leaving for the Big 12. To the point where the athletic director, Rick George, was like, this is completely not true. Came out and like, what are we doing?
Everybody is outraged.
When did dude with a Twitter account become a source? That's what I've never understood. A guy with no credibility, not in media, no experience in the media, tweeting Colorado's leaving, and all of a sudden, hey, the athletic director of Colorado has to come out and debunk it.
Yeah.
I've never understood that.
Where are we at in
all.
society today?
Starry says, Erica Cotto, smart thinking, Erica.
Agreed.
I would agree with that. Brandon Wooten, Monty, up yours. Thanks, Brandon. Appreciate the $2, bro. And he also gave us a 99-cent super sticker. So $3 to say up yours. Well, appreciate that, dude. Which is the other amazing thing.
Yeah.
Like the trolls pay us to say that stuff, which helps the channel grow because you commented, you gave us a super sticker, and you've been watching the show. So appreciate you being here. Thank you for that. Rick Olson says the PAC plays second fiddle to the PGA in misinformation. Apparently,
bro, you're not even wrong with that, bro.
We're in a control position.
It's crazy. Aaron Wilson, can we start running the Pac-10 as a pyramid scheme? That would be funny. Good Lord. As a pyramid.
Pac-10.
You know. Mark Ruckert, I say let's go get OSU and Colorado in a cage fight for the first Big 12 invitation pay-per-view event to pay off the Holiday Bowl debt. Maybe we could make Elon and Zuckerberg the undercard of the Oregon State Colorado cage fight.
The Beavs and the Buffs.
You know, that could be amazing.
Yeah.
That could be amazing. Calzone says, is Jake in Blues Brothers mode today? He has pink eye. It's fine.
I don't, actually.
Truck Stop Gumby says, picking on New Mexico State?
Now, the New Mexico State GCU rivalry is real, and a lot of people don't know about that, but it is very much real.
Correct. Yeah, it is. It's pretty remarkable. It is pretty remarkable. Aaron Wilson says, why are people mad at the prospect of going to a better paid, better run conference? I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know.
And in the Pac-12, especially with Utah fans, I don't think there's any doubt that it's 100% about BYU. And the absolute torture that Utah fans put on BYU when BYU went independent, and they assumed that BYU would become irrelevant, which they didn't. BYU actually grew, doubled in stature, right? Had as much success as Utah had. And I think Utah fan feels embarrassment. And I think about having to go to a conference that BYU is already a member of. Utah fan probably feels slighted by that. I don't know. I just don't understand why. It just doesn't have to be like that.
Yeah, but that's what college football is, I feel like, for a lot of people.
No, I think that's what Twitter is.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
I think that's what Twitter is. You know? Brass Balls says Utah fans were so annoyingly puffed up in the head when they got into the Pac-12. Now that their conference is going the way of the Titanic, they're beside themselves thinking BYU will be in a better conference. I don't think that the Pac-12 is disappearing. And on the Big 12 side of it, I think there's a whole lot of people rooting for the Pac-12 to fail. I'm not one of those. I think it's a great football conference. It needs to be a better basketball conference. But I am not rooting for the Pac-12 to fail. I think this idea that you can just have all of these conferences and it'll be two super conferences shrunk down. And dude, is there anybody who wants to see Nick Saban dancing in celebration when the conferences shrink down to two super conferences?
Nick Saban is a better man than you are.
You guys, Nick Saban is dancing. Have you seen this video?
So you're
Nick Saban is doing the electric slide. He's doing the electric slide in a recruit's home.
Yeah, you're saying Nick Saban's not really worried about their media rights deal?
I'm going to say he's not. When he's doing the electric slide in a home visit for recruiting, that's freaking amazing.
Wild.
By the way, I've been looking for a reason to play this, and I guess I could have just said, hey, here's Nick Saban doing the electric slide. My man's a stud, dude.
Yeah, dude.
And if you think you don't, Nick Saban will punch you in the face. He is. Nick Saban's a better man than you are because he can do the electric slide in a recruit's house.
Roll Tide!
The guy's a pimp, I'm telling you. But I don't want him to be the master of all college football.
No. I don't think that the two conference thing is...
I think it's you know the scariest thing? I think it's possible.
It is possible, but the problem is that, and again, we don't have time for this today, but the health of college athletics overall, I think, is going downhill right now until you figure out a way to manage or regulate or properly use NIL and, like this letter of intent legislature they just rolled out. Like, they're putting in all these new rules, and it just is... It's not in a good place, and
telling
I think
universities to ignore the state laws.
Yeah, and I think the thing is the college athletics is one step away from being doomed. Meaning, if there was another way for football players to get to the NFL, the NCAA would be in huge trouble, man.
I would totally agree with that. I think the NCAA would be in huge trouble with that, and. I just think this question of will the Pac-12 survive it's not really a question. The Pac-12 is going to be here. I think you are going to lose a couple of members.
Pac-10.
I think you are going to expand with SMU and San Diego State, and I just think it is what it is. And I mean that's what makes the most sense to me.
Yep, attrition.
Because you can't say what Arizona has said. They'd be like, oh, yeah, we're all in on the Pac-12. Well, no, you're not. You're not. And you can't say, well, they're not going to leave for a couple $1 million. Dude, with all the money problems that the Pac-12 has, it's not a couple $1 million.
Well, and I think people are grossly underestimating the value of stability. I mean, even let's say that the Big 12 offered you the same money that you were going to get in the Pac-12's new media rights deal. Let's just say it was the exact same money, same opportunity. The difference is that in the Big 12, you're going to be able to grow your basketball program exponentially. You're going to be able to grow your university's footprint quite a bit, and that's because you have better leadership at the top of the conference.
Dude, I can't look at you in those sunglasses.
What do you mean?
It's just awkward.
What? What?
Just tell people that you and Zion were hanging out.
Well, no, me and Mariah were hanging out.
You and Mariah were hanging out. And,
it got a little,
You got some in the eye.
Yeah,
Oh, my God, just like that. Oh.
Speaking of which, Domer Wop. Just tapping in. I'm a newbie. Great show. Extremely insightful.
Whoa. Just tapping in?
Just tapping in.
What is this, the Zion show?
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
Wait until you guys hear the Zion Williamson update. Extremely insightful, extraordinarily entertaining. Well done, and thank you. Appreciate that.
I appreciate you, bro.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Delaric gives us $5 to say I'm a big 12er, but I want the Pac to survive, but I have a feeling that they may survive but no longer be a power conference.
See, I think that's another interesting question.
I don't know that there's like a release from the college football playoff committee who's like, well, the Pac-4 is no longer a Power 5 conference.
But I think we've never been here. There's never been a true concern about, even when the Big 12 was losing Texas and Oklahoma, right? Like, oh man, there was never a worry that they were not going to be a P5 anymore. But this has not P5 written all over it. It does.
Yeah, I think we're a long way from that. I think it's easy to get ahead of it. I think we just need to slow the roll a little bit. Because hysteria, if you will, around the Pac-12 is going to collapse and it's going away. And I don't think the Pac-12 is going away. And if it does and I'm wrong, okay, I'll be happy to say that. But I still maintain the same thing I've said this entire time. And I know this always riles people up, and I apologize. But I believe the fact to be true that there's not one of these 10 schools that wants to leave this conference. I don't think anybody is excited to up and change the patch on the front of their uniform. I just don't. I think if you get $25 million a year, you're going to stay in the Pac-12. There would be no reason for you to leave. The question is, how does this conference ultimately come together to pay for San Diego State? And if it's SMU, SMU, how does that happen? I don't understand how you're going to do that, because then it's not $25 million a year. Because I don't care who you are. If you're Apple or ESPN, you're not paying for SMU to join the Pac-12. You're not doing that. And this bullshit that, SMU's got deep pockets with oil money and they're going to pay a $50 million, $70 million entry fee. And
congratulations, but that's bullshit.
Come on. And so you're telling me SMU's not going to take a dime for 2 years and then have themselves or their boosters pay $70 million to get in the league when they haven't been able to win the AAC? They've had legitimately one good year in football in the last, 7 to 10 years? They've had one season, and they've never won the AAC. Not the ACC, the AAC. And all of a sudden, we're supposed to believe that, it's the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Well, what the fuck does that have to do with winning a football game, dude? They can't compete on the field. And while I am a true believer that competing on the field is not probably top 10 in reasons to bring a university in your conference, let's stop pretending like Dallas-Fort Worth belongs to SMU when we all know it does not.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't. And at some point, we need to tell the truth about SMU doesn't bring you 7.5 million more eyeballs to the TV set every week.
Gonzaga.
It just does not. So let's stop pretending like, they bring all of the Dallas-Fort Worth. No, most of those people, are you telling me that more people watch SMU than TCU?
No.
Come on now. Come on, let's be honest about it. That's the real issue here. SMU was not competitive in the AAC, and all of a sudden, their boosters are going to pay $70 million to get into the Pac-12?
You just have to, snap out of it a little bit.
They're not going to take a paycheck for 2 seasons, 2 calendar years at that point? And they're supposed to win games. And you want to be in a P5 to lose more games. That's what you're telling me. Or you believe somehow that SMU is all of a sudden going to turn into a recruiting juggernaut. Well, actually, I don't think that's going to happen, because find me the kid in Texas that would rather play in the Pac-12 for SMU, let's say, than the Big 12 or the SEC when the big dogs in the state of Texas are in those 2 conferences. When Houston and when Texas Tech, who I think is one of the most influential programs, and I know everybody likes to slander Texas Tech, but like it or not, the Raiders are one of the most influential, programs in that conference. You have Texas now going into the SEC with Texas A&M, Houston and TCU and Texas Tech are in the Big 12. Why am I going to go play for SMU in the Pac-12? To be seen less? To have less NIL opportunity? To have less NFL opportunity? Come on now. Let's at least just be truth tellers about this ridiculous spin that's been happening with SMU. We need to stop that.
By the way, I'd give this more credence if you were talking about jumping to the SEC.
I would.
Or even the Big Ten.
I wouldn't even question as much a booster or what dude up in Portland was talking about was what Buddy in Portland was talking about. Oh, their collective is immediately the second biggest in the Pac-12. Hey, is that a badge of honor that you're bringing in SMU, the mediocre SMU football team, who's going to have a collective, the second biggest in the conference? I'm sorry, and you think that's something to brag about?
Yeah, that's pretty embarrassing, dude.
You're being serious right now. It just, to me, the whole thing, I think it's just...
It smacks of garbage. It smacks of nonsensical, made up. just saying things. And that's why I'm saying, like, hey, maybe we're wrong, and I'm open to it. Maybe we have no idea what the hell we're talking about, but it makes no sense. It doesn't make sense athletically. It doesn't make sense financially. It doesn't even make sense logically that SMU would pay to join the PAC. Now, if you said to me, hey, they're going to pay to join the Big Ten, they're going to pay to join the SEC, hell, even pay to join the Big 12. Okay, still long shot, but I guess I kind of understand that because, hey, you're in a better situation. You know, you've got great commissioners in all three of those conferences. Like, you're going in the right direction in all three of those conferences. The Pac-12 and the ACC are the outliers who are in rough seas right now. So again, why collective talent, like any of the things that Buddy in Portland wants to list as reasons why they would go to the Pac-12 just don't add up for a number of reasons.
Yep, I agree. Steven gives us $20 more. Thank you,
appreciate
Steven.
you, man.
Appreciate you. Canzano also said that bringing in San Diego State and SMU would fill up the viewership that USC and UCLA had in Los Angeles, and Dallas-Fort Worth would be the biggest market in the Pac-12.
Yeah, you can just stop right there.
But this is my point, and I'm asking. Listen, we have a huge contingent of listeners in Texas.
Yeah,
we have from Houston to Dallas to Lubbock, San Antonio, Austin. We really appreciate everybody in Texas who listens to this show. Why don't you fill the void here? Is there anybody who believes that SMU owns Dallas, Texas? Is there anybody who believes that SMU is going to deliver 7.5 million viewers a week to the Pac-12? Is there anybody who believes that SMU delivers the Dallas-Fort Worth market? Like, I don't believe it. And I've asked people I know in Dallas. I've asked the Skeeters after they get out of circumcision with Jera. Like, I've asked a lot of people in Texas, hey, man, how much water does SMU carry in Dallas?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is not much because their games are irrelevant. They have a small but mighty alumni base that are in Dallas proper on a regular. They live there. They have a large alumni base abroad, which I understand. Just about everybody does. Just because you went to SMU doesn't mean you live in Dallas. But I have not spoken to one person that has said, oh, yeah, SMU brings you Dallas, Texas.
You're telling me
they own the market.
Bro, you're telling me someone who lives in Irving or Garland or Sunnyvale or Rose Hill or Mesquite or Balk Springs, Lawson, you're telling me that their first choice is SMU. And again, no shade to SMU fan. Like, I'm not trying to make it personal with you. I'm just simply stating that if you live, if you're a Texan and you're in this every single day, and again, love to hear from you in the comments. If you're that person right now and you're listening to this show, I need to know. If I said to you, hey, what's your college football team in the state of Texas?
Yeah.
Take the conference alignment out of it. What's your college football team? Have to feel like it would be Texas, like University of Texas, right? Then you'd probably go Tech, or maybe then you'd go Texas Tech. Like, there's a group, and then there's everyone else.
I think it is Texas. I mean, it is Texas A&M. I am and this is where it gets murky and opinionated, but you can't. There is not an argument to be made that Tech is not third. There's just not.
Come on, dude.
And I understand, listen, Texas and Texas A&M, they're going to turn up because they're all in the SEC now. I get it. But, dude, I look at Texas Tech versus Baylor, and I think that is an absolute war for territory in the state of Texas.
Yes.
And I don't know. I think opinions are split on that. Everybody still wants to know why Jake is wearing sunglasses. He has pink eye. Somebody farted on his pillow, and he slept like 8 hours on that thing. And he woke up with like. Are you ready to? Are you trying to get through 1 hour? Like,
I don't know. I'm chilling. I mean, these sunglasses really cut the light well. Like, they're nice on the eyes. They're polarized. Like, meant for the waters out in Hawaii. So I'm chilling right now, man. And I wasn't even planning on this today. Like, I wore the purple polo and I got the reflective mirrored sunglasses on. Like, I'm good, man. I'm in. You know what? I'm in my flow state.
Jake's wearing those sunglasses. we have a collection of sunglasses. So today the show was starting and we were like, woosah, I'm going to put on the douche goggles, as I call these. These are the Oakley NFL sunglasses. I don't remember what they're called. The Sutro, these are called. I love these. They're amazing. They're amazing. Jake had on the whatever those ones are called. We were just playing around. Holbrooks, yes. And he's got the deep water lenses. They're amazing. We just decided to leave them on. I don't know.
I mean, I can take them off if you want,
Yeah, I don't know. I think, listen, when you are as awesome as we are because we went to TryDayTrading.com and we make a ton of money in the stock market, you can afford nice sunglasses.
I completely agree, dude.
Right? Before we talk about ranking teams in Texas, you got to go to TryDayTrading.com/Monty and get your $10 30-day trial membership. It's a tax donation. It does not go into the pocket of the guys at TryDayTrading.com. Why does that matter? Because it's a tax write-off for you, so because it's a charitable donation. It's $10 to see your future. And I know that sounds crazy or over the top. It's really not. At TryDayTrading.com, they're all about building your prosperity, period. And when you get the $10 30-day membership, it's as simple as they give you full access to every corner of their program so that in that 30 days, you can see exactly what you have access to. And it's the question I always ask you when we talk about TryDayTrading.com. Did you make $1,000 today at work? Oh, you didn't. Well, there are graduates of the TryDayTrading.com program who make more than $1,000 a day. If I said to you, hey, you can make a minimum of $5,000 a week being a full-time day trader because you went to TryDayTrading.com, would you do it? Of course you would do it. Because then you can work for yourself. You don't have to worry about getting back in the office. You don't have to worry about getting sick or how am I going to get my kids back to school or daycare. No, put daycare money back in your pocket. Make enough money where daycare doesn't matter. Work for yourself. Build your own business. By the way, if you want to keep your job, maybe you just want some gambling money. Maybe you just want to make your car payment every month. TryDayTrading.com. Did you know you can do it as a side hustle? You don't have to do it all day long. No, friends. You take an hour in the morning. You program your process and your trades in the morning for an hour. You go to work and you make money all day long. It works for you while you're at work or doing whatever else it is you want to do because it makes you money, which equals freedom. You get to do what you want to do instead of what you currently have to do. Get to TryDayTrading.com/Monty. Sign up for the $10 30-day trial membership. And if it's not for you at the end of 30 days, walk away. Make sure you tell them you heard about it. On the Monty Show, Baylor versus Texas Tech. Who's here for it? Two Mastas says UT, A&M, OU, Tech, TCU. You think Oklahoma's bigger than TCU in Texas? Oklahoma State, Baylor, and University of Houston. Okay. Brett Tipton. Jake smoked too much lettuce before the show.
Dude, you might be right. I mean, dude,
you did set off the smoke detector in the studio.
Bro.
Ben Mora, he got an STD on his eye.
Damn.
I am going to perpetuate that myth that Jake has an STD in his eye until he takes off his glasses. Randomness 873. Dallas Fort Worth market as a Texan goes to Texas, A&M, TCU Tech, OU, Baylor, Oklahoma State, then maybe SMU.
I mean, just look at that. Even though, hey, maybe there's some people that disagree with this, but generally speaking, I feel like this is pretty spot on. Maybe you changed the order, maybe TCU's ahead of A&M, or whatever your preference would be. But this is kind of my point. You've got this pile of schools ahead of SMU, and Pac-12 fans are supposed to be excited about SMU, and they're supposed to be excited about some huge collective at SMU.
I know. JW says, Pink Eye, stop farting on your pillow.
Dude, I know, man. I went full Bob Costas on it, and, it just didn't work out for me.
David Comer, Jakey Pink Eye.
Yeah.
Yes. Mr. Monkey says, Kansas also delivers Chicago more than SMU and every other city in America, and I can tell you, Kansas, not, and you're, I don't know if you're joking or not. Kansas absolutely delivers Chicago. Kansas absolutely delivers Kansas City. Kansas City, Kansas, and Kansas City, Missouri. It delivers St. Louis, Missouri, and all of Southern Illinois.
Right.
Kansas also delivers you a pretty good corner of Kentucky. Like Kansas basketball has tremendous reach.
Yeah.
Tremendous reach. J.K. Marshall says hot chicks dig pink eye. I like it. I do. Dibs gives us $5 to say, keep on rocking the shades, Jake. 2 holes plus shades are the way.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
I just want to thank you all.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
2 holes plus shades are the way.
Yeah, we're vibing our way through Wednesday, baby. Let's go.
You guys are flipping amazing. Make sure you hit the like button. We've had about 2,500 views and only 130 likes. Let's get rolling. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Warren Boyd, I feel like George Kliavkoff is more the guy hired to transition company through bankruptcy.
Agreed.
I think that's a great analogy. I think that's a great analogy, and I think it's very true. Absolutely. I think that is exactly right. Mark 324, Plano High School greater than SMU. That's cold-blooded.
Plano.
Harry Austin, UTSA greater than SMU. Frank Harris, watch what he does this year in his 15th year at UTSA. Comment dump. Ron Loney, Montana Tech greater than Colorado School of Mines. Brad Turner, Shady 2 holes.
There you go. See, that's a good one.
Okay. I mean, that's fine. OG Gary, -1 people in Texas will watch Utah versus SMU. I agree. Oh, God. Calzone says UTEP greater than SMU. Rice greater than SMU. TSU greater than SMU. Aaron Wilson says LOL UTEP greater than SMU. You ain't wrong. Blake says Colorado Mines greater than SMU. When did we? Okay. SM who? Elaine Tran says. Southern Methodist University. SMU is treated like an afterthought compared to Baylor, TCU, Texas, and Tech. I would agree. Good point. UTSA is no joke. They've become relevant over the last decade in football. They do a lot well there. Mark 324, McDonald's University greater than SMU. Now listen. Guys, when you build the chicken McNuggets, make sure the purple slime is covered up. Okay?
Now, guys, if you don't do that, we are going to fully automate our McDonald's location right next to SMU so that all the donors can come through and save their buck because they spent $70 million on the Pac-12.
You got to make the fries perfect. SMU has a huge collective. That's a lot of French fry money, bro.
I've been a rich man.
Don't charge them for extra barbecue sauce or ketchup packets. Just throw them in. It's a huge collective. I apologize. Montana. When Oregon and Washington go to the Big Ten and Colorado and Arizona go to the Big 12, the only option the Pac-6 has is to take all of the Mountain West.
The Pac-6?
The Pac-6, because they'll have 6 teams left. Is to take all the Mountain West Conference so they have enough games to get a media rights deal for $15 million.
Pac-10.
Okay. Yeah.
I think the Mountain West has a lot of value. I think Gloria Nevarez, one of the interesting things, Gloria Nevarez is the commissioner of the Mountain West. She's been on the show. Check the channel.
She's the one that piped San Diego State,
And I think she did the right thing. Gloria Nevarez is taking a lot of criticism for holding a hard line to San Diego State and saying, no, we will not give you more time. No, we will not give you a payment plan. No, we will not give you a discount. No, we will not give you your basketball rights.
Yeah.
You're going to pay the money on time or you're not going to get released from your grant of rights.
Boom. Out of here.
And I think that's exactly what she should have done.
Yes.
I don't think there's any reason to take it easy on somebody who's trying to game you.
Oh, that's right. They must have forgot. Yeah, they signed a contract. Guy signed a contract.
Nobody seems to care.
Stipulates what you have to do to get out of the conference, and then your cute little commissioner or your cute little president of San Diego State thought it would be a really good idea to send a letter that was done in a certain way that is stipulated in the very contract that you're trying to get out of to inform all the presidents that you're leaving. It's incredible.
Hero75 gives us $10 to close out the hour and say the real question is how many teams have to leave the PAC to the Big 12 before the Big 10 decides they have enough of a smokescreen to press a move on teams they want without taking any blame. I think one will have it.
Well, and I'm curious when conferences like the Big 10 stop caring about the press and stop caring about their reputation, because at some point that's going to change.
Yep, totally agree. All right. Hour number 1 in the books. Hour number 2 coming up. But first, make sure that you do not get through this holiday weekend without a Papa Murphy's calzone.
At Papa Murphy's, we do more than just pizza. We do calzones.
Papa Murphy's does calzones?
Oh, I think you mean I do the calzones.
And how do you do it, Dad?
How do I do it? How do I do it?
Oh, well, we do it with fresh ingredients and hand-shredded cheese tucked in a scratch-made dough.
That's how, honey.
At Papa Murphy's, we make great pizza.
You don't forget the calzones.
Order now at papamurphys.com.